It's been about 2 months since the last episode, so there is a lot to catch up on and a lot to talk about on this episode of the Seattle Sports Show. Welcome back to another episode of the Seattle Sports Show where we love Seattle pro sports. I'm your host, Mikey, and today we're talking about a whole lot of things. We're just hitting the surface of things really today to catch back up because, like I said, it's been about 2 months since the last episode. Just to catch you up what was going on that time period. I'm a mailman, and when it gets to be summertime, that is the hardest time of the year for me because of my job. The energy literally gets cooked out of me during the summertime. I mean, it is my job in the summer is so hard. It is so exhausting. I needed to take a little break just to so every day I could come home, rest under the air conditioner, go to bed early enough and hydrate enough to make sure that I, doing what I need to do to stay healthy and stay alive while at my job in the summer. And then after, during that time period, because my job is so exhausting in this, I've been a mailman for 10 years, so I've learned that this is the hardest time of year for our job. So I actually took like a month-long vacation as well. And during that time I thought, that'll be a good time to be able to put out a lot of content. Well, I was on vacation with the family, so I ended up not doing that. But I'm back now, ready to jump back in, and we're in Seattle, so summer's getting ready to be over. Things have cooled back down. I'm ready to dive back in and make more Seattle sports content again. I was even there for a while. I was trying to keep up. I was putting out my score updates on YouTube Shorts and TikTok. I even got away from doing that for a little bit. Because when I was on vacation, I went down on the Oregon coast and visited my dad, and he doesn't have, he's not a big internet guy, so I didn't really have access to good internet while I was there to be posting stuff anyway. So I was like, you know what, this will just be a good time to take a good break and enjoy time off of work and all my hobbies that I normally try to do throughout a busy life that I have in the first place. So it actually was kind of nice. But now I'm back. We got a lot to talk about. So again, because there's so much, we're really just going to hit the surface of things. We'll talk about all the teams in this episode here while still trying to keep it short, and then we will get back into trying to do like short episodes for each team on the regular. Try to do game recaps, on the regular. We'll get back into that groove. I did at least, I was still, the last 2 months I was still thinking about content and how I want to do it. So I've thought of some ways that I'm gonna do a couple of things a little bit differently, which will hopefully be entertaining for you. Now that I'm jumping back in, we'll see how it goes, but yeah, we'll try to do things a couple things differently, and you let me know how it goes. Let me know if it's entertaining or not. Mostly, what's going to change is just the way I do the score updates and game recaps and stuff. I'm gonna try to make those a little bit. Try to do them a little different style that's hopefully entertaining for you guys. So, not doing it right away, but we'll be getting into that soon. And again, you'll let me know if you like it. Okay, let's get into all the big. There's been so much big news that actually just happened recently. It's kind of nice because we don't have to like go back and scour the last 2 months and be like, what was there to talk about the last 2 months? Was there anything good to talk about? There's been so much things that have happened just like within the last week or two that's mostly the stuff that we're going to be talking about. All right. I feel like up first, because the night that I'm recording this, this just happened, so it takes precedent. We got to talk about it first. It's the biggest, it's the latest thing that's a big deal, and that was Megan Rapinoe getting her number retired by the Seattle Reign here on Sunday, August. What was this Sunday now? August 25th, right? So, and great ceremony. Great to hear from Megan Rapinoe. I've been listening to her and Sue Bird's podcast now that they've restarted that. Love listening to that. Just love hearing her talk, and talk about the things that she talks about, whether it's fashion, social issues, women's sports. I love hearing them talk about all that kind of stuff. So that was fun. And then, yeah, they had a great ceremony for her retiring the number. And then the game itself turned out to be a great one with Adima's 18-year-old Adimas scoring a goal in the 97th minute, like really like a last second goal to win the match. And then Adimas goes over and does the the famous Megan Rapinoe celly, and after the game, you see like photos of Adimas when she was. I mean, she's still 18, so to me, she's a little girl, right? But you see her when she was like a little girl, a little kid, like taking fan photos with Rapinoe because she was such a fan. So that was cool. I mean, right? I talked about it. She talked about it. Adimas did. That is that Rapinoe is like one of her heroes. So that was awesome that she was able to, again, get a last second game winning goal on the night of Megan Rapinoe's retirement, or her number or jersey retirement, right? So yeah, that was pretty awesome. And then I guess since we are talking about Megan Rapinoe and going from 115 to another, let's talk about Gabby Williams and the Seattle Storm. All right, Seattle Storm. They have acquired Gabby Williams, and it seems just like hearing Gabby Williams talk about it in her discussion, and she's kind of been in contact with the Storm throughout this entire process, and her needing to stay in France, and so she could play for the Olympic team, in which they did amazing, obviously almost beating us, giving us a real tough time there for the gold medal, and she did amazing. But it's going to be so great to get her back on the Storm once again and add some depth to this roster, because my goodness, coming out of the Olympic break, losing the first 2 games in a row, thankfully we won the last one, but Gabby Williams should be in the next one, and that will add some depth to this bench, because it just we did not have enough. We're putting too much pressure on our quote unquote core 4, right? Jewel Lloyd, Ezzy Magobor, Skylar Diggins Smith, and Neka Gumke. Jordan Horson's been doing a great job since she stepped in as a starter, but she was also she was so great coming off the bench. And then, we didn't have, at that point, once Jordan Horson became a starter, and we put Victoria Vivian's on the bench, she doesn't provide that same spark that Horston does, right? So then we no longer had a spark coming off the bench. And now that you add Gabby Williams, whatever they decide to do and whatever works out best for the rotation, we'll start having, no matter who it is coming off the bench, whether it's Gabby Williams or Jordan Horston, you're expecting a player coming off the bench that is providing a spark. And then that Gabby Williams, she can play multiple positions on the court, so she can provide rest to Skylar Diggins Smith. She can provide rest to Jewel Lloyd. She can provide rest. Her and Jordan Horson, if they're playing the three, they can provide rest for each other. She can even get in there, play for, and provide some rest to Ezzy if need be. Right. Point is, you have a better rotation now. You get some more rest, and there's not so much pressure on those starters, because I feel like it's just too much pressure on them right now, and that's affecting their play, and it's affecting them offensively, anyways. I mean, defensively, my goodness, they lock it down, but they just don't seem to have enough energy to keep it up on the offensive side of the court, and it's really affecting their shooting. I mean, their shooting percentage is way down there. I don't have it up in front of me because, again, I just wanted to get it. Now that I'm back, I wanted to get the episode out and just quickly hit the stuff, hit them. But I know that like 3-point percentage wise, I'm pretty positive they're still last place in the league. I mean, we're sitting, thankfully, we're still sitting at fourth overall, in the standings, so that's great. But that's not going to be sustainable throughout the playoffs if you can't hit threes. So they got to get that figured out, and maybe providing some more rest throughout the roster will help that out. But right now we're 18-10, fourth place overall. Hopefully we can separate ourselves from the Aces and try to get into third place because the Aces, the way you see them playing some games, they look like they could win another championship, but overall the record, because there have been games where they've really slumped, their overall record, they're 18-11, so they're just half a game back behind us. So we're fourth and fifth right now, so we'd be playing each other in the playoffs, and I don't want to see that. That's not a great matchup to have in the first round, right? You'd like to see them later down the line, so hopefully we can do something to start separating ourselves here. Let's see here. That's really what I have to say about the Storm. Again, just good to see Gabby Williams back, and hopefully that's going to get them, playing better after the Olympic break here. Let's talk, Maddie Beniers. All right, Seattle Kraken. Hey, 7-year deal. 49 million, or about 50 million. Love to see it, because you didn't give him like a crazy, insane, expensive contract, but he's still somebody. Yeah, he did have a little bit of a down year this year, but you lock him in. From everything I've seen, the NHL, yeah, they don't have a big cap as other places, but their cap has also been going up. So throughout this time period, every year, that 7 million, it's not going to look that bad, right? And I mean, right now it doesn't look that bad. It just looks like, hey, you're paying him solid money for a guy that you expect to be solid, and because he kind of had it down this year, maybe he starts playing up to his potential, and then you're saying, hey, we really got a good deal and locked this guy in for a long time. And I think it's also a good deal for Matty Beniers as well, from what I understand. Let me double check. Matty Beniers, what is his age? Because this is going to be, yeah, he's 21. That's what I thought. So when this contract is over, he's going to be 28 still. So he's poised to get himself a real big contract at that point if he has played well throughout his 7-year contract that he just signed. So I'm excited about the Kraken coming up here in well, I was going to say a couple months, but it's got to be less than that now, right? When will the first games be? I want to see regular season. Oh, of course, the way they have the calendar set up is ridiculous. Yeah, so I guess let's see here. Yeah, not even 2 months. We're looking at what, a month and a half ish or so before real games start. So pretty soon we're getting into hockey again, and new coach, new strategy. I'm excited to see it again. Last season I was disappointed that it never seemed like we really got going. We never had an identity, and it seems like there is at least an attempt to have an identity. With the roster that they have and the style that the coach is going to bring. Hopefully we're going to see a fast paced team looking to score. Kind of what you hope to see, but we did not see much from the Kraken last season. All right, so just had to mention Matty Beniers there. Let's go ahead. Where should we go next? We're gonna save the big one for last. So let's talk Sounders, the Seattle Sounders. What more can we say about them right now, other than we're excited to see them winning lately? Like, yes, great, finally. Again, because I was gone on vacation and I didn't have great access to internet, I wasn't keeping up on Sounders. I wasn't really keeping up on any like news, like the normal like talk shows and podcasts and news or internet stuff I read. I wasn't keeping up to date on any of that. But 2 months ago, when I before I took a break and then went on vacation for a month, everybody at the time was like saying Brian Schmester's got to be fired. We were out of a playoff position. The team was playing horribly. We had a ton of injuries. Well, hey, we've been playing good lately. We are in 5th place. So very much in the middle of the playoff position. I mean, at this point, we're talking about, just for us to get knocked out of a playoff position, we would have to lose 3 games in a row, while the next team out of the playoffs, they'd have to win 2 matches and draw a match, that would be just to tie us. So we really we got ourselves in a good position, and they did it fast. Um, because you also have to uh, consider players being gone, um, and break during the Olympics, right? So really, in the amount of matches that they've played and time played, they turned this thing around fast and got themselves right back in the middle of this. So I'd be really curious to know what the temperature is amongst fans, and the talk, sports talk out there, on what the feeling is on Brian Schmetzer, and has he done enough to keep his job in their eyes, and or how much is it going to take? I mean, is a playoff bid just going to be enough, or are they feeling like he's going to have to, like, how far into the playoffs is Brian Schmetzer going to need to take this team for people to say he doesn't need to get fired this season? Let me know what you think about that. And then let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. If you're watching this on YouTube, the graphic I'm using is of Geno Smith and his numbers that he had on his one drive in the last preseason game this weekend. 4 for 5, 62 yards, one touchdown thrown for 21 yards to DK Metcalf with a perfect rating, 157.9. Right? I've missed basically all the training camp stuff this summer to talk about while I've been gone. So I think everybody knows now that I think people are realizing how good Geno Smith is. Like, people were talking like Sam Howell needed to come in here and really push to be the starter right away. Right? And I'm somebody who, I love Sam Howell. I love the potential that is there. I love that he's here this year and next year. And then you have that ability to sign him after that, probably to not a big contract, just like you did with Geno Smith, because he will have had one full year as a starter, which had a ton of interceptions, right? But he has a lot of talent. So you have 2 years to develop this kid and find out if he could be developed into a top 12 starting quarterback in this league. I think there's so many ways to go. I feel like so many people feel like, oh well, you got to draft a quarterback in the first round. You got to draft him in the first 5 picks, and then they got to start day one. I don't think so. I think there needs to be more room for quarterbacks to develop once again. I mean, that used to be the norm, and now it seems like any quarterback that gets drafted within the first few rounds nowadays, like, they want them to come in and be the starter right away. Where more quarterbacks should come in and learn. Sit on the bench, learn from veterans, learn from the coach, learn the system well before you actually get in there and play. Get a ton of reps in practice for a couple of years. That way, by the time you actually get into an NFL game, it doesn't feel like the game is like going by so fast. Things will have slowed down for you by then. Like, I would love to see Sam Howell in a couple years, and when he's able to process more and process faster, so things seem like they aren't happening so quickly for him, so he can make better decisions. I mean, that's his biggest thing, right? Is not throwing picks. So I mean, to me, it was obvious that Geno Smith should be quarterback number one. I think everybody else who had worries about it have found out how good Geno is, just through whatever perceived competition that they wanted there to be, and then ultimately found out like, oh no, this guy is actually way better than any competition that they're going to bring in here right now. So I don't know. I'm not going to give like my prediction for the Seahawks in this episode because we got a couple more weeks before the first game, and like I said, I will go through and do episodes for the teams individually like we normally would, but I just wanted to catch up here. But I am liking what I am seeing out of the Seahawks. I will say that I think Vegas has us low. They have us at like the over under bet is 7.5. To me, I think that's low. But we'll go over that more. I'm not super down on this team. I'm not super confident in this team. But I don't think we're going to be. I believe I saw that had us somewhere finishing like around like 20th in the league, or maybe even a little bit worse than that. I don't think we're going to be 20th or worse in the league when all is said and done. All right, so yeah, Seahawks looking good in preseason. My main concerns obviously still offensive line. I mean, come on, we go and sign a center who is coming off a major knee injury. Looks like he's going to be ready to play week 1 of this year, but I mean that's not a good sign. Because I'm still confused. I thought Oluwatimi was good last year. I thought he should have been a starter last year, but they never did it. And now this year, when it looked like he was poised to be the starter, they go out and sign a center to go ahead of him. Somebody who's coming off a major knee injury. Now somebody who is graded very highly when he is healthy, but hasn't been for a lot of his career. So we'll see how that pans out, but doesn't leave me confident. Doesn't make me confident that Abraham Lucas is still dealing with knee issues. Hasn't been there. Mike McDonald says he doesn't want to comment on it right now. That sounds just a lot like what Pete Carroll was saying last year and last offseason. Sounds like this is really going to be an issue, and I am now worried that we're going to lose that piece. And that is a major issue because Lucas is just really, again, when healthy and when he's out there, he's great. But if he's not going to be available, that's really going to hurt the depth and just the overall ability of our offensive line, anyways. And then, of course, I mean, how could you not be concerned about the linebacker position? I mean, you go and trade Mike Jackson, a veteran corner, to get a 7th round drafted linebacker that did play in Mike McDonald's system, did play under Mike McDonald for 1 year. Don't think he was a starter, but he at least played there and has played in the system, has played special teams with Jay Harbaugh, who's special teams guy here now. So you got, and it does help bring you more linebacker depth. But that's why I had them in all those mock drafts I was doing. That's why I focus on linebacker so much. It was obvious to me we did not have good linebackers, and now look, this throughout this offseason, our 2 linebackers that we went and signed, they've been injured. They've barely practiced. How well are they going to step into this system and play? Everybody says, it's not this system, right? This system is run by and has been run by a lot of coaches. So it's not like it's a new system, but it's the communication in Mike McDonald's system that is different, right? It's the way players communicate. the way they disguise things, because they're disguising so many things, they have to communicate. And if these guys haven't been on the field to actually practice these situations in practice and in preseason games, how we know what they're going to actually do in live games here in a couple of weeks? I'm not feeling good about that. So yeah, I'm real worried about the offensive line, and I'm real worried about the linebacker position, which I think those are two. I always hear Mike Salk talk about on the radio about how, I can't remember the exact saying, but it's something like you focus on what you're good on or what you're great at rather than the flaws, unless those flaws are like fatal flaws. And I see the potential of the offensive line and the linebacker position on the Seahawks right now. They could be fatal flaws. I don't know, but again, that's where this new coaching staff steps in. We don't know. Like Scott Huff, we know he's been great offensive line coach, so maybe he gets in here, and then when we get in season, we see this offensive line play way better than we expected. Mike McDonald, right? He's the Sean McVay of defense. He's this defensive guru, and he's been a linebacker coach the way Pete Carroll was a defensive back guru. Mike McDonald is a linebacker guru. So maybe these like linebackers that are thought of lesser, because remember, we signed 2 veterans on 1-year deals. Their current teams didn't want to keep them. Nobody else really went after them that hard. Those are the 2 linebackers that we have, who have also been injured throughout this process. They didn't really focus on it in the draft. So to me, we have a very suspect group at linebacker. But maybe Mike McDonald, being such a guru at the position, maybe we're going to see him unlock their potential and their ability. And then we're going to go, oh, wow, not only is this position not a fatal flaw, but because Mike McDonald is such a good teacher, which is what I love hearing out of players throughout this offseason, that how Mike McDonald teaches and that he's a teacher. I love hearing that. So maybe that's all going to click for these linebackers, and they're going to play great, and our defense is going to be just fine in that area, which I think should keep us, at least, an average defense in the league. And if this defense is just, again, if they're just average, if they're middle of the pack, 15 or 16, I think this offense has potential to be, a top 5 offense, really. Like, I was going to say top 10. Well, I don't think that's saying that much, because, a lot of offense could be top 10. But I think the potential is there for this offense with the players we have and the system we're going to be running. We could be a top 5 offense. And if you're giving me that good of an offense, and you're just telling me at least stop going from being one of the worst defenses to just at least, middle of the pack average, then I think, that could mean a lot for this team and bring them a long way. All right. So yeah, the Seahawks are coming up soon, coming up quick. I'm getting excited for it. All right, and now let's move on to the last one. We had to save the big one for last. Scott Service fired in season. In season. There was, 34 games left, I believe, when Service was fired. And we bring in Dan Wilson to be the new manager, and also bring in Edgar Martinez to be the new hitting coach. So we are bringing back Mariners 95 and hoping it works out. And so far, hey, they're 2-1. So it's clicking enough. But that's my thing, is that I don't know, the way this team is, they're so streaky. We've seen it the last couple of years. What if they turn this around anyways? That's just what I don't understand about this whole process. This has been strange, right? You fire Scott Service, with 30 something games left. You're, five at the time. There were what, games or 5.5 games behind in the division. Today, as of this recording, we are 4.5 games back from the division. So, you know, is the timing of that, is that going to be enough? Is it a manager change? Is that going to be the thing that sparks this team, that really sparks this team to make the push to make it into the playoffs? And then how far does that bring them, into the playoffs? Is this a potential World Series team still, like we thought at the beginning of the season? Again, with the pitching staff, I still think so. I still don't know, if this, if the batting lineup can get this thing turned around. I saw a crazy stat today. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I saw it go across my timeline. The Mariners this year are like 50 something. I'll say like 52, 52-11 when scoring 4 runs or more. That's it. This team, if they would have just been scoring like league average, just league average runs a game, we would still be 10 games up on this division. But they can barely score 1 run a game. It's been difficult to watch the last couple of months. It's actually probably a good thing that I wasn't making content the last couple of months, because I would have been getting on here every day, just getting more and more frustrated and getting more and more mad about what I was seeing from the Mariners. No, but again, just talking about this whole process and how it's been really strange, right? God Service fired at weird timing, and then you go out and hire Dan Wilson, which I actually really enjoy. I'm a big Dan Wilson fan. I love hearing him on the broadcast. I love hearing about what he's done throughout the Mariners system in the minor leagues and helping out again in the organization. But what I have to question is why did they decide to name him the manager going forward? They didn't say he's the interim manager for this year, and then we're gonna reevaluate and look at all of our options, and exhaust all of our options and do all the research we can to make sure that we get the best guy available, no matter who it is or no matter what organization they're coming from. No, they said Dan Wilson is the manager now and going forward. So that is really strange to me. Weird way to go about it, and to me as a fan of the team, it does make me question, okay, well, are they really doing what's best? I do think he's going to be a great manager, but was the process the correct process to really make sure that you're getting the best? Because I want the best. I don't know. It doesn't seem like the best process to me that they went through, but hopefully it works out. I don't know. It does feel kind of like to me it feels like, I don't know how the decisions were made, but it feels almost to me like a manager steps in and says, hey, not a manager, I mean an owner steps in, or the ownership group steps in and says, hey, we got to fire this guy, and we want to bring in some of that nostalgia, because we don't want fans to go away. We already know we've played ourselves out of a playoff position at this point. We still have the possibility of getting in, but even if we don't, let's go bring back all the old guys and make fans feel good, about seeing them on the over there in the dugout, so that they'll still tune into games because they'll be curious about what happens. I don't know if that was really the thinking or not, but it feels like that, and it feels like they're just trying to play on that going forward, so that most fans don't get as angry when they hear, oh, well, Dan Wilson's going to be there and Edgar Martinez is going to be there. Great. So I don't know. I don't know about this whole thing, but all I know is that I hope it works, because I'm still rooting for this team. They're still not out of the playoffs. I mean, with 30 something games left, we could still play ourselves back into a playoff position. And, you know, again, this team just needs to get into playoffs because our pitching rotation is just so ridiculous. I mean, Brian Wu, he's been going 7 innings lately. Did it again on the day that I'm recording this. And if we're going to have him going deeper into games like that and saving our bullpen more, again, look out. This team is going to be dangerous in in the playoffs. All right, that's everything though that we needed to catch up on. So I'm going to end it here. Glad to be back, and again, we'll get back into the flow of things where I get back into just doing, short bites of each team throughout the week, and doing game recaps and all that stuff. All right. So thanks for listening to the Seattle Sports Show, where we watch legends awaken. So take cover, because with the Sea of Sound, you will see us rise to reign supreme and win forever.